I would like to know why, at the age of 90, I've had to sign a piece of paper in order to be on this show to say I wasn't pregnant.
Good evening and welcome to Have I Got News For You. I'm Jack Whitehall. In the news this week, after finally receiving the long-awaited Leveson report, David Cameron takes immediate action. At a casting session for the Magic Roundabout musical, Nigel Havers really nails his audition for the part of Zebedee. And at River Cottage, Hugh Fernie-Whittingstall is spotted coming home from John Lewis with a brand new meat cleaver. With Ian tonight is a member of the House of Lords and the oldest guest we have ever had on this show. It would be ungallant of me to tell you her ladyship's age, so let's just say she was born before this programme started. And before BBC One started. And before television started. Please welcome Baroness Trumpington! And with Paul is a familiar face from The Apprentice, who, as a PR man, spent 21 years with Alan Sugar at Amstrad, and he's still working, unlike most Amstrads. Please welcome Nick Hewer.
Oh, how good.
I know. We start with the biggest stories of the week. Ian, Baroness Trumpington, take a look at this.
That's Hugh Grant. That isn't. That's Lord Leveson. Cameron on the phone to Rebecca. Yeah, I've read it. That's the Deputy Prime Minister, Nick Clegg, bringing in the tea for the Cabinet. And that's a really bad reenactment. So what side are you on this, if any?
I'm listening to you.
That's the correct side. You see, they're not all bad, the House of Lords.
Ian, would you care to summarise the Leveson report?
Yes, I mean, there are 4 volumes of it and a summary, and...
We've actually got them here. There they are.
The summary is that, you know, essentially the press behaved abysmally. He's slightly kinder to the police, who behaved quite abysmally, and 2 kinds of the politicians who he says didn't behave that abysmally. Obviously, my view is that they all did.
So you think a free press is
I think a free press is a good idea, which is obviously, you know, a heretical view.
You say you're in favour of a free press. Does that include telephone listening in?
No, what I'm in favour of is a free press that obeys the law. And there is a law against all the things that came up in the report. Telephone hacking, bribery of policemen, harassment, privacy, all those things I think are covered by the law. They weren't enforced by the police because they were in the pocket of the press, who were in the pocket of the politicians, in fact, by Mr Cameron himself. So I think you had a... I know. Well, you did say you were listening to me, so I thought I'd just give it a wang, really.
How much would this cost you? Do you know how much this would cost you?
It's 250 quid. That's my copy.
250 quid?
Yeah.
This is yours. Would you like that for Christmas?
Do you want it? If it's wrapped with consideration, yeah, I'll have it, yeah.
I give you all presents. Baroness, I bought you 50 Shades of Grey, which is... You've already got it. How did Sky News report David Cameron's reaction to the report?
Leave it, Leveson, or I'll cut you, shouted Murdoch from behind the curtain.
What did Lord Justice Leveson do immediately after the press conference?
Well, he ordered a bottle of whiskey and he said, I've just wasted 14 months of my life.
He flew off to Australia.
He's gone to join I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here.
On the subject of much-loved figures, did you see Piers Morgan's response on Twitter?
Yes.
You did?
No. No! I did look up the bit about Piers Morgan in that report, I'll be honest. I know it's 700,000 million words, but the 4 or 5 about Piers are well worth a look.
Can you remember what they were?
Yeah, Lord Leveson didn't find his description of phone hacking and how he'd never done any entirely convincing. That's all I'm going to say. Go and read it for yourselves.
The Conservatives don't want statutory underpinned regulation. The Labour
You're
Party do.
lying,
The
Mo
one thing
Morgan,
that-
you toe rag. Come this side of the Atlantic and face the committee instead of talking via internet satellite. You bastard.
What did he Twitter then? Sorry.
Oh, yes, what was the tweet?
His tweet was taxi for @HackedOffHugh. Oh, very funny, Piers. My response would be police car for Piers. Trial for Piers. Big angry cellmate that misses his wife for Piers.
You'd have to miss her an awful lot, wouldn't you?
What evidence is there as well for the public losing interest in the whole thing that's linked to Hugh Grant?
They haven't lost interest, have they?
Well, last night, his documentary, Taking on the Tabloids, was only viewed by 552,000 viewers, which is 75% down on the average.
Countdown gets lots more than that.
Yeah. Me and the Baroness were watching Towie.
Probably.
I think they are interested. Perhaps it's just me, but... are you
you're
interested?
right.
Are you still interested? Yeah.
And the Hugh Grant thing, you back that campaign, yeah? I think that's good. Anything that keeps Hugh Grant away from acting, we should really... yes, this is the long-awaited release of the Leveson report, which has called for outside regulation to make sure the press regulate themselves. Despite having read the exchange of personal text between David Cameron and Rebecca Brooks, Lord Leveson described the relationship between politicians and the press as being in robust good health. Lol. Hacked Off released a statement saying they were bitterly disappointed with David Cameron's response, and from now on, they're going to be known as F***ed Off.
Talking of which, my daughter-in-law taught him at school, you know. She said he was a very naughty boy.
Really?
And he fiddled in the margins.
He did what? Or is that a pub?
Paul and Nick, take a look at this.
Yes. This is the new governor of the Bank of England. He's a Canadian bloke. I don't know his name. Carney. There's some money. Just to make sure we know we're in Canada, there's Canada in 1948. Maple syrup, just to indicate that we are in Canada. Oh, and there's a moose that says Canada.
It's a bit odd that we can't find somebody to run the bank. We've got to go to Canada. I
Yeah.
know they're terribly prudent, Norris, but it's the same in football, isn't it?
Yes.
They're all foreigners.
Foreign managers.
There's nobody worth a damn here anymore. Jack?
Is it not quite a good idea having a foreigner running the banking system for a bit?
Has
I mean,
he
our
got
lot
our
haven't been
interests
too
at
great.
heart? Has he got our interests at heart?
Exactly. Working for the Canadians.
Canadians
Yeah.
are well-known enemies over
And
all
what's
these
over
years.
the board
Exactly.
from Canada?
Yeah, Mexico.
But Canada's survived best out of all the countries in the West
Yeah.
out of this financial recession. So they've decided, why don't we get someone in? We can't seem to do it. Let's get in a Canadian.
Yeah.
It's not a totally useless move.
No.
Let's have a look at
Yeah,
Mark
let's.
Carney. Do you know how the Express described him? They said that he bears a distinct likeness to George Clooney. Let's have a look at him again. I mean, I look more like George Clooney than him. Nick looks more like George Clooney than him. The Baroness looks more like George Clooney than him. Would you like to see George Alagaya asking a very straightforward question?
Yeah.
Robert, George Osborne says he's the best in the world. What's he got, Mark Carney, that no one in Britain apparently has not?
And what about money? How much is George Carney getting paid?
600 odd, wasn't it?
£624,000 a year, which is not bad.
He can always go and top it up downstairs, can't he, if he's a bit short?
Yeah,
Wouldn't you thought?
yeah, take home perks.
Comes in the morning, thin bloke, goes home at night, big fat bloke wearing an overcoat.
It's put into perspective, though, this week by Harry Redknapp, who's become a manager of a football club and is being paid £3 million a year, which, after tax, is £3 million a year.
See that there question about Major Perk. It's been up there for a while.
Question about Major Perk.
Yeah.
Is that a man?
I don't know. Is he a friend of general commotion? Corporal punishment?
And private matter.
According to The Independent,
Yeah.
there is one major perk that comes with being governor of the Bank of England.
Ah, very good.
What is it?
You're allowed to take whatever sticks to your hand, you can take home.
No, the answer is the impressive ensuite thunderbox in the governor's parlour.
Whoa!
That's like a big loo, right?
Oh, you're referring to Fat Pang and his appearance before the Select Committee. Did you read about that?
Yes, this is Lord Patton.
Oh.
And he felt they were asking far too many questions about the BBC and what it had got up to.
Well.
And he said, next you'll be wanting to know about my toilet habits.
I met him once. I was in need of a stapler at the time, and I was at Wembley for the last Tory shindig before the '92 election, and I was handling a speech, and I looked around and I said, has anybody got a stapler? And he said, I'll get one. And he rushed off, and as good as his word, he came back and he had one and gave it to me. Very nice man, sticks to his word.
Yeah. Got you a stapler.
But what of his toilet habits?
He doesn't use a stapler for that. Doesn't need to.
Have you got two Tories on the panel tonight?
I'm Labour.
Oh, you're Labour. You were just at a Tory shindig.
Boo.
That's the level our debate sunk to.
Next time he talks, I'll make a fart noise.
Can I go home now?
Can I come with you?
Banking is a bit dry. Would we like to cheer ourselves up by watching Boris do the Mobot? Yes?
No. Did he know he was being filmed?
That could be your next leader.
God.
Baroness, the Mobot was a bit of a craze, but you've actually started the V-Bot. What should we call it? Your moment in the House of Lords.
I have to tell you that noble lord and I have been friends for many, many years.
This is Lord King. But you at first denied that you'd flicked him the V's, or did you say that you had? Sorry, I'll stop doing it now.
It is rather catching.
Did you regret swearing at him, or...?
No, because I regretted what he said, which was that people of my age were starting to look very, very, very old. Well, wouldn't you do that if you were told?
Yeah, I can see him. This is the news that the Canadian Mark Carney is to become the first foreigner to run the Bank of England. Yeah, tell that to UKIP. According to The Times, Mr Carney has negotiated a salary of $624,000. Although, obviously, if he screws it all up and resigns early, he'll get massively more under the Entwistle clause. Ian and Baroness Trumpington, here's another one for you.
UKIP. Someone saying I'm voting UKIP. Farage, because he's the only one. No, he's not, actually. Lots of them are. Look at him. He's so glum. This is the news. Well, it's happening now. So when you see this, you'll know. UKIP will have won a seat. The Conservative Party will have formed a coalition with UKIP in a desperate attempt to stay in power.
I hope not. Frankly, I think it's a most horrible setup. I
What,
really
UKIP?
do. Yes,
Right.
that's it.
Well, that's that, then.
Yeah.
This is actually the row over foster children being buffeted around by cheap politics
Well, that
as
was
UKIP
disgraceful.
milk. Yes. How did Nigel Farage describe the decision by Rotherham Social Services?
Baffling.
Correct.
Baffling.
He was actually right for a change, though.
Yeah.
The reason given by Rotherham Council for taking the Eastern European children away?
The foster parents were members of UKIP.
Yeah. The foster mum claimed, we don't know or care about the immigration policy. We just agree that we should get out of the EU.
There's so few people willing to foster kids anyway that to say, well, UKIP people can't do it just seemed to be absolutely amazing. Put them back in care, that's worked well. Oh, no, it hasn't.
Is the idea that they'll be brought up as racist to hate themselves? Is that the fear?
Yeah.
I
They're
think
going to wake up in the morning and punch themselves in the face? It's well known that children never sort of follow what their parents do. Ian's parents were both in the Grateful Dead, but look at him.
UKIP are outraged that they and their supporters are being accused of being racist. But how did David Cameron describe them in 2006?
Fruitcakes.
Yes.
Loonies.
A bunch of fruitcakes and loonies and closet racists. I like this phrase, closet racists. I have a friend, he's just come out as a racist, but he doesn't know whether he's a racist or not. He's still a bit confused. He's bi-furious. And why is this a bad time for Cameron and the Tories to be antagonising UKIP?
Because UKIP are getting a lot of votes, the country's getting more Eurosceptic, and a lot of Tories are threatening to desert.
Not a lot.
OK, hardly any.
Better.
There was someone in your party who suggested that there should be a coalition between
Yes.
UKIP and the Conservatives.
The man you talk of is Michael Fabricated Hair. Here is a picture of Michael Fabricated Hair. Michael Fabricant suggested a pact with UKIP so that they would not stand against the Conservatives in the next election. We actually got tweeted earlier on. Just had a Have I Got News for You on the phone asking for a picture of Lichfield MP Mike Fabricant. And then he tweeted back saying, "Gosh, I'm to be a question on Have I Got News for You? That's better than a knighthood." It's not. We're just making jokes about your appearance. It's probably going to be sat at home pulling out someone else's hair. What do they spend a lot of their money on at the EU?
Meetings.
Well,
Pastries.
it's actually wine.
Wine.
Yeah. They were serving Bordeaux at £121 a bottle at the EU summit dinner. Cameron walked out and ate his dinner elsewhere. He wasn't going to be drinking any of that cheap plonk. Although, according to The Sun, he nipped back later for the cold meats and cheeses. Paul and Nick, here's another for you.
Oh, yes, OK, this is a clip from George Méliès's Voyage to the Moon. That's a nuclear explosion. There was some story this week about, was it during the Cold War, the Americans were debating about whether they should blow up the moon with nuclear weapons. I didn't quite see what they thought the point with that would be.
It's because Hans Blix had told them that the clangers had weapons of mass destruction. Obviously, the little boy was the bomb they dropped on Hiroshima,
Yeah.
so they were looking at something a lot bigger. It was called a fat man. Would you like to see a picture of a fat man?
Yeah.
See? This is the actual bomb. You thought we were going to show you something like this. No.
It's Eric Pickles. He's a member of the cabinet. Have you ever heard of him?
Yes, I certainly have, but I didn't realise he was that large.
What was the reason why they wanted to do this?
It was like, I think it was sort of posturing, because
I see.
the Russians had launched Sputnik, so they wanted to make a statement and surprise the Russians by blowing up the moon. Yeah, nothing happened in the
Sanity
end.
prevailed.
Yeah, because there were doubts over what effect a moon blast could have on Earth, including tidal patterns. Talking of which, floods in this country have now got serious because a celebrity has been affected. Which celebrity?
What are the initials?
PD.
Is it P. Diddy?
Paul Daniels.
Paul Daniels.
Paul Daniels!
He lives by the River Thames.
Correct.
He
Paul-
lives on a little island.
Yeah.
Yes. Paul Daniels said this week that he was furious with the council and that his house was currently under about 2 foot of flooding.
He's been flooded every year for years, and he keeps moaning about it. Get a sandbag, for God's sake.
Weird, is it, if you live next to the Thames and then complain about flooding?
In the Thames
It's
he
like
lives.
moving in next door to Ryan Giggs and then complaining when he bangs your wife. Like... You surely knew when you moved into the area. This is America's plan in the 1950s to blow up the moon. The plan to fire a nuclear missile at the moon was codenamed Project A119, although its purpose was later downgraded to finding a way of connecting Hertford and Stevenage. That is the actual road. Meanwhile, on Earth, the UK was again hit by widespread flooding. One of the people affected was magician Paul Daniels. He was stranded in his house. The emergency services said despite frantic efforts, they were running out of excuses not to rescue him. And so to round 2, the picture spin quiz. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Oh, this is the pigeon that they found in the chimney. This is a code. It had a code tied to its leg, and they couldn't decipher it. But they've deciphered it now, and it says, "Help! I'm trapped in this chimney."
Yes, this is the news that so-called experts at GCHQ have failed to crack the coded message found attached to a World War II carrier pigeon's skeleton, and are asking the public for their help. It would be great if we had someone that worked as a code breaker during the war.
Surely that would be no problem for you. Enigma in a couple of years, a pigeon code, that couldn't be too hard.
Should we have a look? Here is a picture of the bird's foot with the canister.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
That's Yasser Arafat.
Safe journey home.
Would you like the show to go out as a tribute?
I want JLS at my funeral.
Is that some Palestinian group we haven't heard of?
The message included 27 handwritten blocks of 5 letters. So, do you know what it says?
No.
No. This is the World War II code found attached to the leg of a dead pigeon, which experts have so far failed to decipher, apart from the words Dick Dastardly and Muttley. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
He looks as though he needs a good bra.
There was a spoof article somewhere in the States, I think, saying he was the most sexy, charming... God, wasn't he gorgeous?
And the Chinese People's Daily printed this as though it was absolutely true. And their suspicions weren't roused by the previous winners, which included Assad...
Yes.
...of Syria... and Piers Morgan. I've made that bit up.
I have the description that they gave of Kim Jong-un, which was, "This heartthrob is every woman's dream come true, with his devastatingly handsome round face, his boyish charm, and his strong, sturdy frame."
Yeah, that's fair.
Who wants this last after 8 mint? I'm having it.
China's state-run paper, The People's Daily, has fallen for The Onion's online spoof naming Kim Jong-un as the sexiest man alive. The Onion is unavailable in North Korea, along with all other basic foodstuffs. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
We say it's Andrew Marr.
It is Andrew Marr.
Ah, yes, I know what this is. I saw this, yes. The naturists of Great Britain complained that he was distorting history by showing people from thousands of years ago walking around wearing clothes when they wore no clothes at all. It's more corruption at the BBC.
Exactly that. A cover-up. This is exactly the problem that has been brought up by the British naturism.
That's it.
They say, apparently, the Australian Aborigines did not wear loincloths.
No.
The Caribbean tribes did not wear shorts and dresses, while early tribes in Africa did not wear bikinis.
Why do they always play ping-pong?
Who?
Naturists.
It's quite a soft ball, isn't it? If an accident were to occur, I'd rather be hitting the balls with a ping-pong ball than, say, a
So
tennis
sweet.
ball.
Talking about that, my little grandson, he's got a bit of a lisp, and he said, "I've been kicked in the cream crackers." That was rather sweet.
That's lovely.
He then said, "Somebody kicked me in the peanuts."
Should we not be concerned about who's assaulting him on a regular basis?
What excuse did the BBC give for the cover-up?
You can't trust a naked woman with Andrew Marr.
According to The Telegraph, it had been obliged to compromise accuracy to take into account the sensitivities of the audience. Yes, this is the latest BBC scandal, this time over full frontal nudity and their failure to show it to a peak-time family audience on BBC One. In the BBC's defence, it's impossible to know for a fact whether people from ancient civilisations would have actually worn clothes, and as, of course, there's anyone that can remember.
Perhaps they had very long beards.
It was also revealed this week that a contestant on Countdown was told by Channel 4 to cover up his offensive chest hair. It was so distracting that viewers almost forgot to look down Rachel Riley's top.
The thing is, I'm right opposite her, and it's so difficult not to appear to be sort of, staring. It really is difficult. She probably thinks I'm sort of perving.
Yeah.
Which I'm not.
No, you're not, no. It's professional interest.
You've definitely done a good deal to dispel that, though, by saying...
I'm very proud of it, and I'm contemplating another contract.
Ooh.
So don't spoil it, Jack.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. I love Countdown.
Good. Okay. Daddy likes it, he told me.
I find it really weird when you say Daddy.
You do speak to your daddy, and you call him Daddy, and I think it's charming. And your father is one of the most amusing men I've ever met, and I hope he's watching this in a strange sort of way.
He might be.
What do you mean in a strange sort of way? What, with his head in a bucket? What do you mean?
Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features, as a guest publication, the newsletter of ophthalmic antiques. We start with, oh, how I would love to what?
Smoke inside.
You were a smoker, weren't you, Baroness?
And how?
When did you give up?
Just
Oh,
roughly.
well, about 102.
What do you do now after sex?
What did I want? Cigars.
Cigars. Oh, how I would love to polish the silver case, number 21.073, and the spectacles in it.
What were the chances of us getting that right?
Next, binge, drink, conk out, and pushing up daisies, what?
I think it's Baroness Trumpington's list of things to do.
That's exactly what it is.
Binge, drink, conk out, and pushing up daisies, all terms we got from the trenches. Next, what go to school for mascots?
Stupid mascots.
The answer is Japanese students go to school for mascots.
Oh, for God's sakes.
This is a new mascot school in Japan. Most football teams these days have a mascot. For example, Sunderland have this. It's a black cat. At least I think that's what John Terry called it. And finally, Elton John's prescription in the late 70s was...
Slightly stronger in the left than the right eye.
Oh, I hope that's right. It's the most boring answer we've ever had.
The answer is about 3.5D with a degree of oblique astigmatism. So, the final scores are Ian and Baroness Trumpington have 6 points, but our winners are Paul and Nick with 8 points. But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
Oh. Say something.
Man has sex with elephant using telephone box as condom.
Is it a trunk call?
And I leave you with news that there's embarrassment on his first day at work as the new Archbishop of Canterbury locks himself out.
Oh.
High above the streets of London after suffering a breakdown, a stressed-out Dale Winton is gently coaxed back to safety. And as he finally retires from politics, Ken Livingstone throws a party for all of his friends and admirers. Good night.
With 2 discs of highlights from the programme, the Have I Got News For You Too audiobook is now available. Next up on BBC One, laughing at the highs of the Olympics and the lows of the economy, it's John Bishop's Big Year.